Hello friends, welcome to e-learning platform of Kali Sharma Vishwavidyalaya. I am Dr. Shailaja Parmar. Today we are going to discuss the subject Taxation 1 for BCom Semester 4, and we are going to start with the chapter Introduction to Taxation. Introduction to Income Tax. As you all know that now the Income Tax Act 1961 is there into force into India. The present Income Tax Act was enacted in the year 1961 and came into force on 1st April 1962. This Act of 1961 has since been amended number of times, and the income tax rules 1962 have been framed by the Government of India under the powers obtained by it under the Finance Act 2019. Now let us understand what is Income Tax Act, why it is there, and what are the benefits of the same, why it is there. So it is the main enactment regarding the income tax. It provides the structure and administration of income tax. By studying this act, one can know which person has to pay income tax, when and how he has to pay it. Besides, it incorporates the definition of various types of incomes, their computation, deduction, and the exemptions available. And even it talks about the powers of various income tax authorities, procedure of assessment, etc. So all these things are included into the Income Tax Act 1961, and the Income Tax Act extended to the whole of India. Now next is the Finance Act, the Annual Finance Act. The Finance Act is passed by Parliament every year. Like last year it was Finance Act 2020. So this year in the month of February it would be Finance Act 2021, wherein it prescribes the rate of direct and indirect taxes for the assessment year in question. It is popularly known as the budget, that is finance bill. Okay, so it becomes this finance bill or a budget becomes the Finance Act after it has been passed by both the houses of Parliament and signed by our honorable President. So thus, Income Tax Act is a permanent act, whereas the Finance Act is passed every year, and its main purpose is to fix the rate of tax to be charged under the Income Tax Act for the year, including rate of deduction of tax at source for advance tax and the regular income tax rates. Now let us understand the categories of the income tax. So when we are talking about the categories of income tax, it is direct and indirect tax. So what is the meaning of direct tax? So the taxes whose burden cannot be shifted to others and the person who pays these to government has to bear it are called direct tax. In simple words, the person who pays, if he himself pays the tax directly to the government, then in that case it would be known as the direct tax. For example, income tax, wealth tax, gift tax, these are the few examples of the direct tax which is there into India. Now what is the meaning of indirect tax? Those taxes whose burden can be shifted to others so that those who pay these taxes to the government do not bear the whole burden but pass it on wholly or partly to others. For example, custom duty, goods and service tax. Here what is happening? The person who is paying the tax is not into contact with government, the central authority directly, on somebody else. It means the burden of the payment of taxes would be shared, or the burden can be passed on wholly or partly to some other party. At that time it becomes the indirect tax. Now we have to understand the scheme of income tax. Okay, scheme of income tax in the sense the rates at which the income tax is to be paid by the various types of assessors to the central government in the form of income tax. Okay. So the scheme of income tax for us, okay, before I could talk about the scheme of income tax, let me clear up one thing, that here we are going to discuss the previous year. It means the scheme of income tax we are discussing for the previous year 2019-20. It means a previous year will start on 1/4/2019 and it will end on 31st March 2020. So for the previous year 2019-20 and the subsequent year, that is an assessment year 2020-21, we are going to discuss the scheme of income tax over here. Why? Because we are going to talk about the tax provisions which are applicable for the previous year 2019-20. So what is the exemption limit over here? The exemption limit is rupees 2,50,000. Now what is the meaning of exemption here? Exemption means the amount of money on which it does not fetch any amount of tax. It means there won't be any levy of tax if you have a total income of rupees 2,50,000. It means it would be a completely tax-free income. If you earn rupees 2,50,000, you will not pay a single penny to the income tax department in the form of income tax. Okay, so that is what the scheme of income tax, wherein the exemption limit of rupees 2,50,000 has been declared by the government. Now we will understand the slab rate, that is the methods of assessing the tax. Okay, so the method which we are going to understand and discuss now is the slab method. But let me tell you that there are two methods which are generally used for assessing the tax liability on income. Those are number one, step system, and number two is slab system. Number one, step, and number two is slab. What is the meaning of step system? This is an old method in which income tax is levied at a single rate on the total income of the assessor. It means if the rate of income tax has been fixed at 5%, then it would be at 5% itself. That is what a single rate step system. Whereon the slab system, it is a modern and progressive method wherein levying of income tax is been taking place. Here how it takes place, that the total income of the assessor is divided into different slabs, different layers, and each slab is charged at the different rates. Okay, so let us understand the slabs which are available for the various types of assessors and for the various age groups. So first we are going to understand the income tax slabs, income tax slabs for the individual assessor who are below age 60 years. Okay. Now here you can make out the income tax slabs on one hand, on the other hand there are tax rates you have been provided with. So up to rupees 2.5, it means your exemption limit is 2.5. So up to rupees 2.5 the tax rate is nil, means your tax liability would be nil. The second slab is from rupees, just a minute. The second slab from rupees 2,50,001 to rupees 5 lakhs. It means if you are earning from rupees 2,50,001 to rupees 5 lakhs, then the applicable tax rate is 5% of total income, that is more than rupees 2.5 lakhs. It means here if your income lies between 2,50,001 to 5 lakhs, what is the slab over here? The rate at 5%, your income between this particular slab would be charged. The third slab is from 5,01,000 to rupees 10 lakhs. It means if you are earning in between 5 lakhs to 10 lakhs, if you are between this, that particular income would be charged at 20% of the total, that is more than rupees 5 lakhs. 20% of the total income, that is more than rupees 5 lakhs. Then the last slab is income of above rupees 10 lakhs. It means if you are earning more than rupees 10 lakhs, then in that case 30% of the total income, that is more than rupees 10 lakhs, would be charged from here. Okay, it means in short, up to rupees 2.5 there won't be any tax liability. If you are earning between 2,50,001 to 5 lakhs, 5% of the total income, that is more than rupees 2.5 lakhs plus 4% cess. Okay. Then if you are crossing 5 lakhs and up to 10 lakhs if you are earning, then 20% of the total income, that is more than rupees 5 lakhs plus the income tax of the previous slab, that is 12,500, and the education cess. And the last slab over here is income of above rupees 10 lakhs, then in that case 30% of the total income, that is more than rupees 10 lakhs plus the income tax which is payable on the first two slabs, that is of 5% and the 20% of the total income. So that is how, if you are an individual who are below the age of 60 years, then in that case this is what the slab rates at which your income would be charged. Now, if you are a senior citizen, it means senior citizen here means if your age group is from 60 to 80 years, then in that case up to rupees 3 lakhs there is no tax liability. Up to rupees 3 lakhs your income would be completely exempted. The second slab starts from 3 lakh 1 to rupees 5 lakhs. The second slab starts from rupees 3 lakh to rupees 5 lakhs, wherein 5% of the total income, that is more than rupees 3 lakhs, would be applicable, and 4% would be an education cess. If you are earning from 5 lakh 1 to rupees 10 lakhs, then 20% of the total income, that is more than rupees 5 lakhs, plus the income tax of rupees 10,000, which is applicable for your first slab up to rupees 5 lakhs. The last slab for a senior citizen is income above rupees 10 lakhs, 30% of the total income, that is more than rupees 10 lakhs plus 1 lakh 10,000, that is the income tax of the first two slabs will be applicable over here. So here what is the difference? That if you are an individual who is below 60, then the exemption limit is 2,50,000, and if you are a senior citizen, the exemption limit is extended to rupees 3 lakhs. Now, if you are a super senior citizen, it means what you are lying above 80 years of age, then in that case an exemption limit is rupees 5 lakhs. The next slab starts from 5 lakhs to 10 lakhs. 20% of the total income would be charged, that is more than rupees 5 lakhs over here, plus the 4% education cess, and above rupees 10 lakhs, same 30% of the total income, that is more than rupees 10 lakhs, plus the income tax of the first slab would be charged from you. So that is how what we can summarize over here, that the income tax slabs that income here, if you are an individual who is below 60 years, then in that case the exemption limit is 2,50,000. If you are a senior citizen, that is 60 to 80 age group, then in that case your exemption limit will be rupees 3 lakhs, and if you are a senior citizen, then in that case the exemption limit will be extended to rupees 5 lakhs. So that is how the income tax slabs are been in practice into India now. Now understand the next new regime which has been introduced by our finance minister, Madam Nirmala Sitharaman. She has just now which we have discussed was the old regime, okay, the old system. Now this is a new system wherein the various slabs have been introduced with multiple rates of income tax. So here the exemption limit is the same, that is up to rupees 2.5. There is nil, there is no tax. Now what has happened previously, from 2,50,000 to rupees 5 lakhs, the rate of tax is 5%, and that is more than the 2.5 lakhs, that is of the first slab, plus the education cess is there. The next slab, that is third slab, starts from 5 lakhs and it ends on 7 lakh 50,000. It means what is the change over here, that in the previous slabs there was the income from 2 lakh 50,000 to 5, then 5 to 10, but here it is 5 lakhs to 7 lakh 50,000. Means the gaps of 2 lakh 50,000 has been kept in every slabs into the new regime. So the third slab is 5 lakhs to 7 lakh 50,000 and the rate of tax has been reduced to 10% over here. Okay, so first slab it is nil, the second slab 5 lakhs, third slab is 10%, 5%, the third slab is 10%. After that, if the income crossed from 7 lakh 50,001 to rupees 10 lakhs, the 15% of the total income, which is more than 7.5 lakhs, that is the previous slabs, and the 4% education cess. The rate of tax is 15% over here. Next, 10 lakhs to 12 lakh 50,000, it is 20%. Previously, it was above rupees 10 lakhs, the tax rate was universal, that was 30% only, but here it is in the new regime, 10 lakhs to 12 lakh 50,000, 20% of the income tax would be applicable on the extra 10 lakhs, the income which is more than rupees 10 lakhs plus the education cess. From 12 lakh 50,000 to 15 lakhs, it would be 25% of the total income, that is more than 12.5 lakhs plus 4% education cess, and the income above rupees 15 lakhs and the income above rupees 15 lakhs, it would be 30% of the total income. Means in the old regime, the maximum income tax slabs was starting from 10 lakhs of rupees. Here it is income above rupees 15 lakhs. That is what the difference is been made. One more thing, that if it is the finance minister has given an autonomy to the individual assessee to opt for any one of this regime, that an assessee may opt for old regime or even a new regime. But once if you are opting for new regime, then in that case you cannot opt for the original one, that is old one, into the same previous year. Okay, now this is what the main thing of budget last year, that the rebate under section 87A can be claimed by any resident income whose total annual income is rupees 5 lakhs. The maximum available rebate under 87A is rupees 12,500. Means up to rupees 2,50,000 there is no tax liability, that is you all know that up to rupees 2,50,000 an exemption limit has been granted to all the individuals, those who are applicable to pay the tax. Okay. Now apart from that, if your total income is below rupees 5 lakhs, then in that case an individual assessee would be every resident Indian, I should say, that would be applicable to the rebate under section 87A, wherein the tax liability of rupees 12,500 would be nullified over here. It means there won't be the tax liability of rupees 12,500 a resident Indian did not pay over here. Why? Because the rebate under section 87A would be claimed by him in this case over here. So that is how one should say that the maximum, this is how the exemption limit has been extended to rupees 5 lakhs. Even if we are saying like this, there is nothing wrong in that. If your, and this is applicable only when if your income, which income, the total income is below rupees 5 lakhs. Now let us have the look of one of the definitions. One by one we will understand the definition first. Today we are going to start with the definition of person over here. Person has been defined under section 2 subsection 31 over here. Section 2 subsection 31, the person is been defined over here. So while defining the assessee, when we are defining the assessee, what we will look after that assessee is a person by whom any tax is payable. Assessee is a person by whom any tax is payable. But what is the meaning of person over here? So it may require a clarification, and that is by the section 2 subsection 31 gives you the definition, which is inclusive definition. definition, and this definition includes that person means as follows. Person includes an individual, that is a natural person, that is a human being including minor, or a person of unsound mind even is been considered as an individual which forms the part of per definition of person. Number 2 is Hindu undivided family. Third, company. Fourth, firm, an association of person or a body of individuals, whether incorporated or not, a local authority, and every artificial judicial person not included in the above, that is association of person, body of individual, and even an artificial judicial person not formed with the motive of earning profit or income have also been included in the definition of person. So, statutory corporation or a Hindu idols, that is Balaji or Tirupati temples, are the accessible under this clause. So, this is how the person is an inclusive definition. Now, let us understand one by one. An individual, as we have already discussed, that individual means a human being including minor or a person of unsound mind even. Hindu undivided family. Hindu undivided family means joint family which is linearly ascended. Okay, so that will be known as a Hindu undivided family, wherein the main person, the head of the family, would be considered as the karta, and the rest of the members into the family would be considered as a co-partners over here. So the karta would be liable to pay the income tax under the Income Tax Act 1961. Next we have the company which is incorporated as per the Companies Act. So Google, then the Tata, Infosys, you may name any company which is there. Next you have a firm, wherein the firm which has been registered as per the Partnership Act 1932, or even a firm which is not registered, but if they are earning income they have to pay the tax in the form of in the capacity of firm, any partnership firm. Then we have the association of person, like association of person means the group of the person includes as we all know that person means over here is what? The person can be an individual, a Hindu undivided family, a company, or a firm, or even a local authority. So the group of all these would be known as the association of person, wherein Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, Bruhan Mumbai Mahanagarpalika, Hindu. So the group of all these things would be considered as the association of person. So if they all come together, then it would be the association of person. Then we have the body of individual, that is Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, wherein only Chartered Accountants group has came together and they have formed the particular entity, and that is why it is body of individuals. Next we have the local authority. These are the examples which are there for the welfare of the society: Gandhinagar Municipal Corporation, Bruhan Mumbai Mahanagarpalika, Kari Nagarpalika. These are all the examples of local authority. Next we have every artificial judicial person. As we have already talked about that every artificial judicial person, even those who are there for not earning profit or income, have also been included over here. So any idol, any temple, okay, would be considered as the every artificial judicial person over here. I hope the session is clear today. Next time we will continue with rest of the definitions of income tax. Thank you.